Hey everybody, happy Monday. Today is October 11th, 2021. This is episode 14 of Vibrant Life. If we've not met, I'm Jessica Parker. I'm a holistic health coach with a master's in health psychology as well as a fitness instructor. And today we're going to dive into all things bone broth. I'm really excited to bring in Beth from Beth's Bountiful Broth. She touched base with me several months back through oregonvalleyfarm, my family owned and operated pasture-raised meat business, and we started selling her veggie and spice packets to make bone broth so much easier to make and like delicious without having to figure out the exact formula to make it so yummy. Anyway, so she's going to go into all the details as well as why it's so great for you. So I really love her story, and thank you for joining us.
All right, you guys. So thank you for joining us today. I am here with Beth. I call her like the bone broth lady, Beth Candela from Washington. I wanted to have Beth on because as you all know, I'm a holistic health coach, and you've probably seen me post things about bone broth before, but she can definitely dive in more to it than I can. I just want to share a little bit about my history with it. I am all about keto. And that's what kind of introduced me to bone broth. And at first, all I thought was gross. Like, I'm not doing that. That just sounds disgusting. But I just started hearing more and more about it and learning about how healthy it is for you. And so now when I'm working with clients, it's one of the first things that I recommend, because a lot of times people have things, like gut health or things to where they just really need to get super nutrient dense foods into their body. And that's one of the best ways. And there's a lot of ways to do it, which I'm interested in hearing, your favorite ways in using it. But so this is Beth. And I just wanted to ask, first of all, what got you into bone broth to begin with?
Well, I've kind of been into eating healthy for many years in my adult life. And because I realized years ago that what I ate had a direct correlation to how I felt. So I've always been kind of that way. And what happened was I was back in Los Angeles. I actually am a native Californian, and I've only been in the gorge in Oregon for about 8 years. And I used to sell meat and seafood door to door. And I had this client base of people that would buy my really, high-end antibiotic free at the time. 15 years ago, it was antibiotic free. Now it's organic and grass-fed meats and such. And while I was doing that, I was introduced to a gal who did cleanses, superfood cleanses. So I kind of partnered with her to make her cleanses, which had soups and smoothies that were infused with her superfoods. So we kind of formed this relationship. And we did that for a couple of years. And then my husband and I moved to the gorge, and that relationship kind of ended because we couldn't, do the business so far away, California and Oregon. And I didn't really know what I was going to do. So for the next year, I just kind of got to know my community and did the various, events and Pilates and, just getting to know people in where I lived. And I realized that there was a lot of people that were lacking in, they were having health-related problems, young people in their 30s, gut issues, lots of gut issues, and just not knowing what to eat and how to eat properly because they didn't have the level of education here. I'm in a very small town in Oregon. So, and almost at the same time, bone broth was starting to really kind of gain some momentum. It was, you were hearing about it. It was all over Facebook. And I said, I got really good at making soups when I was doing these superfood cleanses. So maybe we just try to make some bone broth. And I just started experimenting with it. And then I got it so it tasted really good. And I started just sharing it with people in my community and my Pilates teacher. And it just took off. People loved the flavor. And my cleaning gal, who's since become my good friend, was having gut issues, and she started drinking it on a regular basis, as well as a couple of the other people in the community, and they started really feeling better. So I said, maybe I'm on to something here. So it just kind of grew from there. Somebody gave it to somebody, and it made it into an acupuncture clinic. And then from there, it made it into several other grocery stores. And it started flying off the shelf because I started doing tastings, and it was, compared to the other bone broth out there, it just tasted amazing. I'm not going to say anything about the other bone broth because I don't know how they make it or what they do with it, but I put a lot of TLC into my bone broth. So that's what happened.
That's really awesome. And I have to say, I mean, you're right. That's huge because you can have, well, some bad bone broth.
Right.
And
right.
especially when somebody is like trying to, like me, when I started wrap my brain around what it was, I just like, you know, the taste can just change everything for you.
Correct. And I found that when I was doing the tastings at the grocery stores, that people were saying to me, gosh, yours tastes so good. How come mine never tastes this good? What am I doing wrong? A lot of people don't know what the difference is between stock and bone broth, right? Or regular broth and bone broth. So stock is made with bones, but there's still like a lot of meat on them. And you put in vegetables and all that. You just kind of throw it in and you cook it for a couple, 2-3 hours. And it's good. It's got the collagen and it's got the fat and it's got, you know, minerals and such. And that's actually what I grew up with. I didn't grow up with bone broth. My grandmother and my mother made stock, you know. So, but bone broth is different in the sense that it's primarily bones. There might be a little bit of meat on them, but primarily using chicken backs or marrow bones or oxtail or primarily bones. And then the premise is that you put in water, but some kind of an acid activator like apple cider vinegar or distilled. It can be any kind, distilled white vinegar, whatever you have. I use, depending on the size of the pot, anywhere from 3 to 5 tablespoons. And the premise is that the apple cider vinegar will extract the minerals from the bones and the amino acids. And the thing is that what you cook bone broth is for hours, 24 hours at least. Or if you're using a pressure cooker, you can do a shorter amount of time. But the beauty of doing that and letting it simmer for a lot of hours with the activator of the vinegar, it's actually extracting minerals and amino acids, which I'll go into in a minute, and collagen and such. So you're getting much more dense nutrition from a bone broth than you would a stock because of just the amount of time that it's pulling from the bones, which leads, so you understand the difference now, leads me into the health benefits. So basically you've got minerals and you've got amino acids that you're getting from the bones that are being extracted from with the acid and such. And also you're getting healthy fats, especially if you're using grass-fed bones, because you want to get conjugated linoleic acid, which is much more prevalent. It is prevalent in regular bones and corn-fed bones, but it's much more prevalent in a grass-fed animal like a bison or a deer, or completely grass-fed, grass-finished, which that's the key, grass-fed and grass-finished. It has to be to get the higher amount of CLA. And you're going to get the most minerals and amino acids. We're talking glucosamine, hyaluronic acid, chondroitin, and then you're going to get the minerals and the electrolytes like phosphorus, magnesium, potassium, other glycine, proline, glutamine. So these are what they call, they're called glycosaminoglycans. Have you heard of that term? Those are all your naturally occurring amino acids. So what's happening is you're getting these from the bones, right? Which is why animals in the wild eat bones, because they know innately that that's where all of the minerals and the amino acids are in the bones. Yeah. So you're going to get collagen and gelatin, because the collagen is being extracted from the marrow bones, and that turns into gelatin. And gelatin for a human body is really important because it will help heal the lining of your gut. It will nourish your cartilage, your bones, your skin, your arteries, your digestive tract. So what happens is when you start drinking this on a regular basis, if you've got like an autoimmune disease or cancer or anything that's immune system compromising, the fat, the collagen, the minerals and the amino acids are really going to begin healing the lining of your gut. So not only are you going to feel better, but you're going to have more energy. Your digestive tract is going to function more so. If you've got a compromised system like from cancer or something, you'll start potentially eating more because it's going to activate all of these systems. And you're getting it really very bioavailable because it's being presented to you in a liquid form. It's not going into your body like in a pill. So you're not having to break it down and digest it. It's going in liquid. So it makes it kind of happen even quicker that way.
Yeah.
So you have any
This is
questions?
one reason. Well, I'm always telling people electrolytes, electrolytes, electrolytes. And this is one of the best ways to get it in, because just as you said, it's more bioavailable than just, like
Correct.
a drink or something. So that's awesome.
Right. And it should taste good.
Yeah, it should.
It should.
Well, and I've had clients who start using it, and there's always different things that pop up, benefits that they see, good side effects, like weight loss. And I really believe, it has to do with the gut, healing the gut, getting things into the system that your body needs, that, obviously even your metabolic health gets all imbalanced when you don't have all those base level nutrients going into your body. So there's little things that happen that you just wouldn't expect that are awesome.
Well, your skin is going to start glowing.
Yeah.
Right. From the fat as well, but also with me, it's really interesting. I have a problem sometimes with metal in my wearing earrings, with the metal in my ears.
Yeah.
The earring posts. And if I drink bone broth on a regular basis, that goes away.
Interesting.
It's really crazy. And also it healed my gums. Because of I don't know why, actually. I'm guessing the minerals and the amino acids, because that's soft tissue up there, right? And I had receding gums. And I went to the hygienist one time, and this is right at the beginning of when I was making the bone broth, the pre-made stuff. And she says, your gums, I don't have to put topical on anymore. What are you doing? I swear, it was crazy. And I have never gone back to having receding gum lines.
Wow.
Isn't that nuts?
Interesting. Yeah. That's awesome. I love it. And it makes sense. How do you use it? I heard you say drink. So I personally usually use it in recipes. Like, I do a lot of soup and chilies and stews and stuff like that. But how do you use it?
Well, I drink it in the morning, before my coffee, because for me, it just kind of gets everything started. But I will also make a supply and freeze it.
Yeah.
And use it in soups and recipes as well. And anytime I've got to add moisture to a casserole or anything that needs more flavor, I'll put in the bone broth. And even vegetarian dishes, I actually will use my spice kit without bones sometimes to make vegetarian broth.
Oh.
And I can use that. I'll use that with a lot of vegetarian dishes as well, because the flavor is really nice. But yeah, mostly, I do both.
Okay. Okay.
Drink it and
I know, I've not graduated to that level, but I do think if you make it, so the flavor is good, then it shouldn't be.
Well, exactly. And I've been traveling. I've traveled recently, and I felt that I wanted some bone broth and I didn't have any with me, and I picked some up at the grocery store. And I will tell you that more times than not, it tastes like dirty dishwater, with a beef flavor.
Yeah.
So, so I don't know why they can't get it to taste better.
And that's
mine tastes delicious.
Usually you put it in things so that you don't really know, but if you're wanting to drink it, which is the best way to get it in daily, because who's going to drink or eat soup daily,
Exactly. And you can actually kind of, there's people out there who can't wrap their brains around just drinking broth. Right. But if you just throw a few pieces of chicken in there with some vegetables, you can really trick yourself into just, really doing the broth, but just having a few pieces of protein and vegetable in it. So it's not that bad.
Yes.
But no, my flavor is really good. We've got like onion and garlic and shiitake mushroom and turmeric and black garlic. And it's got a lot of really umami kind of flavorful things in there.
It is. Almost like this nutty. I love it. I'll
tell you how I came from point A to point B.
Perfect.
What happened was with COVID, everything, of course, stopped, right? I was thinking to myself, there's got to be a way for people to be able to build up their immune system and get healthier while we're kind of on lockdown. Maybe I can figure out a way that they can, because I was making pre-made broth myself, and various grocery stores in the Pacific Northwest carry it. So I kind of went back to the drawing board, and I was connected to a company that does spices, dehydrated spices and vegetables in Portland, where I live. And I kind of experimented with the recipe on how to take my delicious broth and be able to create a dehydrated version of it, so that people can do it at home. So that's what I did really during 3 months of lockdown. I just experimented with different quantities of garlic and onion and carrots and celery. And I came up with the exact profile of what I had done with regular vegetables. And then I packaged it and I started selling it so that people, in fact, this is what it looks like right there. So people can do it at home. And so basically you just take this kit and you dump it in your pot, you roast your bones, you put in water, you fill up water all the way to the pot, put in about 3 to 5 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. And if you want to add some salt, you can. There's no salt in here. And then you can pressure cook it in the Instapot for like 6 hours, 7 hours. Or you can put it on a stovetop on your stove for 24 hours. And it's going to take, and then you just strain it. And then what I would suggest doing is taking some mason jars, filling them up and just putting them in your freezer. So you always have great bone broth. And then I'll always keep one mason jar in my refrigerator. Viscous, it's definitely not really light like the stuff you would get at the store. It's not watery. It's got a nice flavor to it. I would say a good 6 ounces, 7 ounces would do the trick. You don't have to drink a big amount. Now, that said, if you're trying to be preventative, that's a good idea. If you've got some issue going on, drink as much as you can. If you've got autoimmune or cancer or something like that, a good 8 to 10 ounces at least a day is preferable, because then you really want it to start doing some healing and such. But for prevention, 6, 7 ounces is fine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I will say that I have found your packets. I mean, like you said, the flavor is amazing. And I used to just, I think most people, when they make bone broth, whatever vegetable scraps I have that I've been saving from other recipes, or, I have been like, I want to make some bone broth. So I go out and buy the vegetables. And this is great because I just have several packets in my pantry.
That's exactly right. That is exactly. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
This is cheaper. It's a lot less expensive. And the other thing too, from an expense standpoint, we should talk about that. This is going to make at least 6 quarts of broth. You're going to spend an upwards of $11, $12 for just 16 ounces, 20 ounces of broth. You're going to spend however much, I don't know how much you charge for your packets or anything, but you're going to get a good full minimum 6 quarts out of this.
And how, for you personally, so somebody who's using it daily, how long would that last?
Well, for prevention.
Yeah.
For prevention. So if you're talking 32 ounces is in a quart, and you're talking, let's say you do 6, so that's 6 ounces times 6 is 36 ounces. Well, no, a quart is 32 ounces. So let's say approximately 5 days per quart, right? 6 times 5 is 30, give or take. So 5 times 6 is 30, like a month.
Which amazing. I mean,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's because bone broth is expensive. Bone broth is not cheap.
It's extremely expensive. Extremely. Yeah. I sometimes will buy some soup at the store. I won't say the brand, but I mean, it's delicious. It's a soup, but it's made with bone broth,
Correct.
And you have to tell yourself this is why it's expensive, because the bone is so nutrient dense.
So what's really good for this is if you're the type of person that likes to be efficient with dinner time, you can make like a whole pot of soup, right? Mm-hmm. And just with your bone broth and just keep that in the freezer. I mean, I can't tell you how many times at the end of the day, I just don't feel like cooking. Nice piece of chicken with a big pot of bone broth soup.
Yeah, exactly.
You have both the bone broth and the soup, whatever you want.
Yes. I just found this little, it looks like an ice cube tray, but it's made with silicone and it's big.
Yep.
So I
have that.
Do you? They're
I do.
So wonderful. I just made some butternut squash soup with bone broth and have that in my freezer. So
nice.
pop them out when you're ready. Yeah.
So you just have a little cup full whenever you want.
Yes.
That's
yes.
a great idea.
So perfect. Well, I was going to ask for somebody, let's say somebody's new, what bones do you suggest?
Well, if you're otherwise healthy and you just kind of want some help with your gut, marrow bones you want to use, and you want to use completely grass-fed and grass-finished. If you have a gut problem, like there's certain people that have digestive issues that it's called SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which I had all three. Thank you very much. You want to not make sure that you use marrow bones and not anything with cartilage in it, because cartilage is something that can be problematic for SIBO patients, right?
Oh, that's good to know.
The ones that are on the FODMAP diet.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to do chicken broth. And I do customized marrow bone broth for people who have SIBO. So
that is some really good information.
Yeah, because also people with SIBO cannot do garlic or onion.
Mm-hmm.
So I will customize it without the garlic and the onion and give them all the other flavorful components. But yes, I'm very much into that because I've been living with gut issues I had leaky gut, and then I had the hydrogen, and then the methane, and then the hydrogen sulfate SIBO, and it was just a nightmare.
Wow.
So,
and how are you now? I mean, it seems like you've passed that. Okay. That's
right. And with the help of a functional medicine doctor too.
Yeah.
That's
invaluable.
Huge. Totally. So yes. So no, I'm better. But thank God, because there's a lot of people that live with SIBO for years.
Oh, absolutely.
It's very insidious. It's hard to deal with, but yeah, thank gosh. But when you have gut related issues, whether it's autoimmune or SIBO or whatever, you'll never be able to go back to normal eating. You just have to always be mindful, of extra sugar and extra fat, and just, kind of live your life eating more mindful.
Absolutely. Well, and it's interesting. I mean, I don't deal with a lot of people who have gut issues per se, except I do think a lot of people have leaky gut and don't even know it.
That's right.
Like such a precursor to autoimmune in general.
Correct. So that's actually a lot of as I said to you at the beginning, a lot of the reason that I got into bone broth, because of people's gut issues and autoimmune problems. And a lot of people with autoimmune find comfort. They feel better when they drink bone broth.
Mm-hmm.
Because the gut, 80% of our immune system is in our gut.
Yeah. It's interesting what happens when you actually give your body what it needs.
That is true. It's very true. So if people want to connect with me,
yes.
the company is Beth's Bountiful Bone Broth. And I sell the kits online, or you can go to Oregon Valley Farm and get the bundle.
Yes.
Of the bones
and
the kit. And that way you have a one-stop shop.
Absolutely. It makes it easy. It makes it so easy to just have it on hand.
It does.
And it's perfect for this time of year.
Yes, absolutely. So if anybody has any questions or whatever, they can reach out to me. They can reach out to you, and we can help them.
Wonderful. So I will link your website below, and then you're on Instagram and Facebook?
And Facebook, okay. Right?
Okay. So I will share those.
Perfect. Do you have any other questions?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure we could do this again and, dive into something different, because there's so many things you can talk about with this, but I appreciate it so much.
We'll stay in touch.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Have a great day.
All
right.
You
bye.
too.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, you guys, thank you for joining us. And I look forward to having Beth back on again sometime soon. You can find me at thatvibrantlife.com. You can find me on Facebook at Vibrant Life, or Instagram _VibrantLife. And this episode is sponsored by my family-owned and operated business, Oregon Valley Farm. We sell pasture-raised pork and chicken, grass-fed and finished beef. You can find all your bones for your bone broth, as well as the packets, on our website. oregonvalleyfarm.com. Facebook and Instagram are both Oregon Valley Farm. And our meat is all antibiotic free and free of added hormones. So check us out. Thanks again.